What's up guys, my name is Ace, and yesterday we got the details for the beta of Modern Warfare 4. And I know I've been covering nothing but Modern Warfare 4 for quite a few videos now. A new season of Battlefield 6 just dropped. Yes, I will have content coming for that, but I wanted to make sure I was covering these beta details first. And so let's just jump right into this. It's quite straightforward. We're going to be having 2 weekends of the beta, like we usually see for Call of Duty. The first weekend is going to be the early access weekend, and this one starts August 21st and runs until August 25th. And this one will be available on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. However, with it being early access, this means you have to either pre-order the game or get a beta code elsewhere. And they usually give out tons and tons of beta codes leading up to this. Also, they often have like stream drops, for instance, where if you watch certain streams for a certain period of time, you can get beta codes that way. Or, as I said, you can just pre-order the game. Whereas for the second weekend, this one starts August 28th and runs until September 1st. This is going to be the open beta, where there's no pre-order or beta code required. Anybody can just hop in. And this one is all of the same platforms as well as Nintendo Switch 2, which is very interesting. I'm very curious to see how this looks and plays and feels on the Switch 2. I'll definitely be checking it out on that platform as well. But those are the dates, and it's worth noting this beta is starting more than 2 months away from the launch of the game, which for a Call of Duty beta at least, that's a pretty decent lead time. Some years we're like a month to a month and a half before the launch of the game, and we're playing the beta then, which doesn't give a whole lot of time to do anything aside from tuning a few values here or there. And of course, even with 2 months lead time, it's not like they're going to be making massive core changes to the game, but it does give them at least a bit more time to make some adjustments. And I know every single year people say the beta is actually just a demo and nothing actually changes from beta till launch. And while some years it definitely feels like that's the case, other years, like even last year with Black Ops 7 for instance, they made a lot of changes between beta and launch. Like they pretty much fully reworked a lot of the perks in the game. They were combining many perks, moving them around to different slots. They changed how some of the movement was working. They obviously did a lot of weapon balancing, spawn tuning. They also even made some map adjustments. For anybody that was actually involved with that and paying attention, they made a ton of changes between beta and launch last year. And I'm hoping we see that same sort of momentum carry through with Modern Warfare 4. But then again, it's a different studio. We've got Infinity Ward here rather than Treyarch. And Infinity Ward, in their past 2 titles at least, hasn't really been known for making big changes to their game based on feedback. They have been known as more of the stubborn studio that likes to stick to their ways, despite overwhelming feedback. However, we do have new leadership this time around, and based on things we've seen so far, it does appear they're trying to make a shift there and be more responsive to feedback, so time will have to tell on that. I think actions definitely speak louder than words, and I think they do have to prove themselves a little bit here. But at the very least, for a Call of Duty game, they've got a decent amount of lead time here between beta and launch relative to some of the other CoD games. And I think at least that is good news so far. Now, diving a little deeper, what is going to be available in this beta? Well, in their blog, they mentioned we're going to have access to as many as 19 different weapons. And for modes, they said we're going to have access to everything from small-scale 3v3 skirmishes to massive tactical battles featuring tanks and more. So it does look like ground war is going to be available in the beta. And they also mentioned search and destroy will be available in the beta, and that's something that's really hit or miss. Usually we don't have access to search and destroy in betas. I think it's happened like a couple times over the years, if I remember correctly. But that's nice to see that they are going to be having it in this beta. And they also mentioned Killblock will be available in the beta, as well as the training mobility course. So it does look like there's going to be quite a bit of variety packed into this beta. Like it's not just going to be team deathmatch, domination, kill confirmed, like we often see, maybe hardpoint mixed in there as well. It looks like on top of that, we're also going to be seeing search and destroy, kill block, and even ground war. Now, with all of this information and the fact that we've got the beta dates so far, I actually find this to be a little bit discouraging in a way. And that is simply due to the fact that I was really hoping for, and honestly kind of expecting that it would be likely that we would see a Killblock alpha, similar to the 2v2 gunfight alpha we got back in Modern Warfare 2019. Vanguard also had the Champions Hill alpha, and these were separate alphas that took place before the betas of those games launched, and it gave us a little taste of the experience before the full beta. And Killblock just seemed like the perfect opportunity for this, especially after watching people play it at the event in New York over the past weekend. That looked like it would have been super well suited to a separate alpha, so you could really dive deep into that specific experience as your first taste into the game, and then you get the beta where you start to gain access to like create a class, and you can play the regular game modes as well, and ground war. And so the fact that we haven't heard anything about the alpha and the fact that they mentioned that Killblock will be in the beta of the game, that does lead me to believe that we probably won't be seeing a separate Killblock alpha, unfortunately. Now, at the same time, I haven't given up all hope. I actually went back and checked out the dates for everything with Modern Warfare 2019, and they actually kept that alpha hidden until after the beta dates were already revealed, and they revealed the Gunfight alpha on the Monday when the alpha itself started that Friday. So it was just a handful of days of lead time before we got our hands on that. And therefore, I'm not going to completely write off the possibility that we could still see a Killblock alpha, and maybe it's just a surprise they're keeping up their sleeves, but at the same time, I'm not going to hold my breath for it, and there is a big part of me that's thinking it's just not going to happen, and we won't be getting our hands on the game until the beta dates. Now, on top of the beta, it was also confirmed that they are doing CoD NEXT this year, but it's going to be an online event rather than a big in-person event where they fly a bunch of creators out. And what this means is they're expanding their roster on people that are going to be able to stream for CoD NEXT, since content creators will be able to do that from home now, and that's obviously a lot easier for them to set up, and they don't have to fly all those people out and everything. And they mentioned CoD NEXT is going to be taking place on August 21st, so literally the launch day of the beta, but it's taking place before the beta goes live. So you can get on, watch the CoD NEXT event, they'll reveal a bunch of stuff, you get to see streamers play the game, and then apparently immediately after the event is over, the early access portion of the beta is live. And I think that's pretty cool because if they did do another in-person event for CoD NEXT, I unfortunately wouldn't have been able to go because my wife is pregnant and we have a toddler and I just don't want to leave her at home alone while I'm out of the country at a work event. So, a little selfishly, I love that that works out well for me. Also, I think it's great that it looks like there's going to be far more creators that are invited to attend this because, like I said, it is an at-home event. And so I think that's going to provide a lot of opportunities for some up-and-coming content creators that otherwise probably wouldn't have received an invite if it were the usual in-person event at a venue. And then on top of that, I just think it's nice that the beta is going live right after, so people can tune in, check everything out, and then as soon as that event's over, they can dive in and experience it for themselves, rather than having to wait a few days or a week or whatever it might be before they can get their own hands on it. Now, one last thing to consider here that we don't have any information on at this point is DMZ. And I know a lot of people are wondering, will there also be a separate DMZ beta, or do we just not get our hands on DMZ until the game launches on October 23rd? Now, my guess is we probably won't have a beta for DMZ. It'll probably just launch with the game, and that'll be our first experience with it. But in saying that, there is that decent-sized gap between the regular beta and the launch of the game, and essentially nothing going on for the month of September and beginning of October. So that does provide a fairly big window to potentially do some kind of a beta for DMZ. But that's just pure speculation, and if I had to guess, they probably aren't doing a beta for DMZ, although I would definitely welcome one if they do. In either case, that's pretty much it. That is going to wrap it up for the beta dates and everything we know so far about the beta for Modern Warfare 4, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about all this information, and are you also holding out just a little bit of hope for a potential Killblock alpha leading up to the beta dates? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.